3, 2, 1, and we're live. I hope we're live. Are we live? If we live. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, Fabulous. This is Angela, and I have got questions for you. What opens? With Miss Karen's party? She's on the move, right where we ended last season, basically. And what closes with Miss Karen upset, talking about she not gonna confide in no backstabbers. Is it Karen? Yeah, it's Karen. If you guessed or read The Real Housewives of Potomac, Potomac is back. All of a sudden they were back. I didn't know they were gonna be back this soon. I didn't really even have a chance to miss them. But this was a really good jumping off episode. So let's jump right in. I'm Angela. The channel is Be Fabulous You. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and all of those other good things that we do to help build the channel to its first 1,000 subscribers. Yay for the charter subscribers and all of the other people who support. Whoop, whoop. So we have I'm going to say the names of the people because I'm trying to get them back in my head again. Karen Huger, you know, she's the queen diva. Giselle, I don't know Giselle's last name. She was married to the preacher. She's got the 2 twins and then the older daughter. Robin. Who is Robin? Robin is married to the former professional basketball player. So she's a wag who they were living in the same house together, remember? But they were divorced, but they were sleeping in the same bed, and they were living in a townhouse because they had to cut back because of money, and she's in public relations. Robin and Giselle make up the green-eyed sisters, the 2 really, really light ones with the green eyes. Charisse is also married to a professional athlete. She's a wag, but he was a coach by the time that we met them, but they were living separate lives. He was living and coaching in New Jersey, I think, and she was in Potomac, and they weren't together. And then we found out that they really weren't together, and they were getting a divorce. And she has like a teenager. I think she has a teenage girl who's like 16, 20 around now. You know, she's not a little girl, but you know. And she also goes by Shasha. Does she have another child? I think it's just a little girl. It might be a boy, though. I'm not sure. And then there's Monique. Now, Monique is also a wag. Her husband is a football player. She has those 2 little kids, the little boy and the little girl, I think. She was moving into a larger house because, you know, she just felt that they needed a larger house. Her husband's mother was the one who, remember last season when they were like at the table and they were talking, and her mother-in-law was mic'd, and her mother-in-law was saying that heifer need to get a job. And then they found out when they saw the show that she had said that, and it created a little tension in their family unit. Ashley is the woman who is, her mother is black, and her father, I think her father is white. I think she's considers herself biracial. She is married to, she was a bartender, and she married the owner of the restaurant that she used to live in. So he is like an Australian man, a white man. He's like older. He's like, she's probably like 25 and he's probably like 50, 60, something like that. And they've had some marital tension because they opened up a restaurant together, and she thought she was running the restaurant, or she thought it was her restaurant and it was his restaurant, and he seems to have the money and he seems to be the boss of things. And then there is also a new character called Candace. I think her name is Candace, but I think it's spelled Candias. So those are the characters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6 or 7 folks. Okay, so we're at Karen's party. We're talking about her move because she moved from Potomac to Great Falls. We thought she was going to be downsizing, but then she got a bigger house. But then it's like, did she buy the house or she rent the house? She says she rent and own. Then they're like, we think it's a front. She ain't even rent the house. She had this big party. They think it's just a house she had to have this party. And then she talking about something at the reunion. She moved to be closer to her parents, but the house is actually further away from her parents. So, you know, just people, she didn't want to tell the people her business, and the story she was telling was not making sense. And so then we found out 1 month later that her husband owed over $1 million in back taxes. So we find out that Karen called Robin, and they're not really that close. And Robin thinks that Karen was forced to sell the house due to tax things. And I think that was the theory, like on the street, that they didn't want to have that big asset sitting there that the IRS could forfeit. And so, you know, they did this rent to own thing in order to lock the money up in such a way that, you know, so I don't know. But Oh, Karen, voices. Oh, there's like a scene with Karen, and it's like all of the voices of the people talking about her and her situation and the grand scam instead of the grand madame of Potomac. And, you know, it was kind of sad. And then Karen calls her sister, and Karen is like, you know, she's saying she got two. Hi, welcome on the chat. She got 2 hours notice before the story hit the Washington Post, and that she says that she didn't know about the situation at all. She was just totally blindsided. That's what she says. And then we see Giselle arriving at a restaurant, and Ashley is joining her. Ashley has been in Ibiza. She's been traveling all over the place. She had naked pictures on the Instagram, and it was like from behind you could see her booty, but you couldn't see her boobies or, you know, anything. So it was like I guess if she's looking for a husband, it seemed like it was a good advertisement. I guess. I don't know. But, you know, it kind of fits her personality and her brand a little bit. Giselle she says she now considers, you know, Messy Boots Ashley to be a friend. I don't know how anybody is friends with Giselle, at least the way she comes off on the show. She just seems so unnice. And then Ashley is asking about Giselle's boyfriend Sherman, who we met last year at the reunion, and she's like, oh, Sherman, yes, this is Giselle, yes, we're still together, we've been together for a year now. So there you have it. And she says something about how he would be at the gym and he always liked to stand behind her because he liked to see her butt, and then she's like, you know, I'm clapping now and I'm not using my hands. I was like, what? It's too much information, Giselle, it's too much information. Giselle is shocked about Mike and Ashley separating at the reunion that, you know, was announced at the reunion. And then at the restaurant that they're eating popcorn soup, and it has real popcorn in it. Okay, that's just a side note. But and they talk about Ashley and Mike, their situation and why they separated or whatever. And then they also talk about Karen calling Robin about the tax situation. So Karen's business is all over the place. And then Giselle is like, I think that Karen is lying about not knowing that the money is owed. And I think that she is too, but she doesn't want to disclose her business to y'all because y'all are not her friends. But it's on TV, so it's just like a bad situation. But I feel like she has her story and she's sticking to it. Excuse me, whether it makes sense or not, whether we buy it or not, that's her story and she's sticking to it. So there, what you gonna do, beat her? We see Monique and her hubby moving into Potomac. She lets us know that she is now in Potomac and her zip code is 20854. I wrote it down because I wouldn't know. And she says she has this place she's moved into is like a 5-bedroom. I don't remember if she said 8,000 or 9,000 square feet house, because the house that they had before was not cutting it with the 2 kids. Oh, maybe the other house was the 5-bedroom house with the 8,000 or 9,000 square feet that wasn't cutting it with the 2 kids. You know, the 4 of them, they were just so scrunched in together, they could barely breathe. But now they have more space and they can live more like humans instead of like animals, just forced into that small cage of 8,000 or 9,000 square feet. She's telling her husband that she wants to have a party for the neighborhood, maybe 300 people. And her husband is like, well, who's going to pay for it? And she's like, oh, you know, I'm not going to go over budget like I did the last time. Then they show a flashback of a party that she did last season for her daughter. I think her daughter's first birthday. And then Monique is like, you know, I want you to call and invite your mom. And he's like, well, you call. And she's like, no, you call. It's better for you to call because we know what your mom calls me, because his mom had called her a heifer. Heifer, like a cow, a heifer. And you call her because you know what she calls me. And then they have, we find out that they've not spoken to his mother since the mama called her. They saw her calling the heifer since Heifergate on the TV. But then, you know, Monique is like, well, I have a baby boy, and no matter what, I will want my baby boy to have a relationship with me. So I want him to have a relationship with his mother. Although I can never imagine myself treating my son's wife the way that his mother is treating me, or has treated her. And then so we have that. Then we see Robin and her baby daddy Juan, and they're at like the shoe store with the boys. They have two little boys who are like, maybe 8, 10-ish, around that age. And we find out that Juan has landed his dream job. He's at Coppin State. Is that an HBCU? And he is the head coach. It's less stress. They have more money. And Robin lets us know that they sleep in the same bed together, and occasionally they have sex. So I guess she's happy about it. I guess if she likes it, we love it. I just have not figured out how to be a fan of Juan, but maybe this season I will figure out. It's going to be hard, though, because he already got on my nerves. By the end of this paragraph, he done already got on my nerves. They talk about how busy his schedule is, with the boys having football practice, and then they have baseball camp or basketball camp, and then he's coaching, and then whatever. But now that they have more money, we find out that they're moving into a bigger house. So I wonder if they're moving back to Potomac. I don't think so, because I think they would have said it. But they are moving out of the townhouse. What someone said was just the starter townhouse, and you could tell it was just the starter townhouse because the brick or the facade didn't go all around. And I was like, oh, okay. So they're moving into a bigger house now that the money is better. Robin does not know why. She says Karen called her because they're not really that close. She said she did try to be supportive to the woman she's talking to her ex-husband, Juan, about it. And Robin said that she didn't really believe the story. And we have some reunion flashbacks of the story in ways in which it seemed to be inconsistent, and that we might have a potential lie on our case. Lie alert, lie alert, lie alert. And then Juan is like, well, just be supportive and don't be a bad friend like Ashley. And that's when he got on my nerves. I was kind of like, I don't care for this Juan character. He's probably really nice in real life, right? I just don't like him on TV. Then we have Giselle with her 12-year-old baby girl, Grace. And she's got her cosmetic line out. Giselle does. And she's color matching the little girls. And she says she works so hard as a parent. And the name of her company is Every Hue Beauty. And she lets us know that Every Hue Beauty is up and running. And she video chats with the girls. And I think at this point we see footage of like maybe Instagram photos or whatever of her like doing an Every Hue Beauty event in New York, and one in California, and one in Atlanta. And she's like out and about with Every Hue Beauty. So yay. I like when people have a company and they go on out there and, she got the platform. She might as well do the thing. And then they video chat with Sherman. I think the girls, I don't know if that was their first time talking to them or whatever, but, they're chit-chatting with her man. And also in her line, I think she said that 1 is the darkest shade. Now, usually in lines, 1 is the lightest shade. So I thought that was really interesting. And I'm still trying to figure out how I felt about it. I remember somebody saying, like, if Rihanna really wanted to be progressive, she would have 1 be the darkest shade. And I don't know if that's true or not, but here's somebody who has 1 as the darkest shade. So, wow. Sherman said, and then Giselle is letting us know that Sherman has let us know that she only has to do the 2 Fs. And she says that she does not feed him, but the other F, she Fs the F out of him. And I was like, oh, okay. And then we see Ashley. She is at home and she's being visited by her friend Nia Molly, I think the child's name is. They've been friends for 15 years. We find out that the lease is ending on the place she's in August. I think that the place that she was in was her husband's place, or a place that they joined or whatever they owned jointly. But that lease is up in August, and so it sort of created a situation where either she was going to move on and be on her own, or she was going to go back with him. So she says she's scared and nervous, and she can't, get in the car, and you know that if something happens, she can't get in the car and drive to her place. You know that she's not gonna have this place anymore. So she's getting together with him. She talks about the fact that they had gotten into an argument, and he grabbed her dresses from the closet, and he said, "Get out. This is not our home. This is my home. This is my home. My home. Collect your ish and don't let the doorknob hit you on the way out." That's not, I don't like that situation. I don't know what kind of marriage they have. And you wouldn't have to, I mean, yeah, I'm kind of like, oh, I don't know if we could recover from that one. He said it turns out that, or part of what's going on is that he feels that she was giving her mother too much of his money, and Ashley says that she does not know how not to give to her mom. We reminded that her mother had gone through a bankruptcy or whatever, and that Ash was helping with that, that she had bought a house, and I guess they have a joint bank account, and she spends money on her mother and gives money to her mother. The friend says that that he was the way that Michael was talking to Ashley was not healthy, and it is not okay. Monique, we see her with her children and her dog, and she lets us know that her neighbors are the Marriotts, and she's like, before I just went to the Marriott hotel, and now they live, the people who own the hotel are right next door, and then the Redskin owner is right next door. We were just talking about the Redskins earlier today and how terrible that name is. And she also says that her friends are easier to get to except Karen, ha ha ha, who's further away. And her little baby is cute, and the baby boy is cute. Those little kids are cute. She says she has 2 children under the age of 5. This is Monique. Her nanny just gave 1 week's notice and left, and she thought the nanny was going to be there for a couple years. She has nonprofits. She has lunches and dinners that she's doing to network because she's a great businesswoman, and that's what great businesswomen do. And then we're at Giselle's Ray place maybe, and Robin picked up the phone. Oh, I think maybe this isn't Giselle. Maybe this is the other woman. Karen is saying that Robin when she was calling friends, that Robin was the first one that picked up the phone. And she said that she's given Ray space long enough, right? This is Karen Huguet, Mrs. Huguet, the ground down. And that she's given space, her husband space long enough, but, she's his wife and she needs to know what's going on and why she didn't know what was going on. And so Ray is like, well, I did mention it to you. And, she doesn't really acknowledge that, or maybe she says she don't remember. And then we find out that they file taxes separately, and that he taught her to invest her money, and that the business taxes, there's some system where now business taxes could become personal. So what he owed in terms of the business now became a personal liability, but they've never had a joint account, and she realizes that he was protecting her. We see Ashley putting her suitcase in the convertible, and she's on the phone with Giselle. She's had like a rough day. I guess she went and spent time with Michael, and then she ended up leaving again. And now she's coming back to Michael, and Giselle was like, well, maybe you shouldn't. And Ashley is like, well, it's time for the Real Housewives of Potomac to be back on. We're filming again, so this is my storyline. No, she didn't say that. She said, well, you said I should be patient or something like that. But they've been apart for 6 months, we find out. Mike got Ashley flowers when she gets home, and he's written her a welcome note, like a detailed note about welcome back. It's personalized. This is my home. She says, this is my home. This is my marriage, and I don't want to do this. We don't want to have this argument thing going. And he says, I agree. Let's keep outside influences at bay. You know, and she's like, well, outside influences like what? And she's like, well, you know, the restaurant is one, but now that it's doing better, it's less of an issue. Your mother is another, but that's not really doing better. You know, that's a problem. And then they hold hands and they talk about their strong bond and how hard it is to find a strong bond. And they didn't realize their bond was so strong until it was broken. And then, you know, blah, blah, blah. And then we see Karen is meeting Robin at a restaurant, and she says she really admires and is grateful. Karen is saying Robin, she admires Robin's guidance and is grateful for Robin's time and everything, because when she was in the storm, Robin was there for her. And she says, you know, I don't know her as well as the other ladies, but I'm glad that she picked up the phone because she was just so gracious and kind, and I admire her. And Robin is like, well, I appreciate you calling me, but I felt that I felt your vulnerability and everything, but I wondered if I was getting the whole truth. You know, was this a damage control call? Were you making a PR call? Remember, Robin is the PR person. And Karen is like, you know, I did not know. You know, I didn't know. And then we see a flashback of her talking to her husband earlier in this episode and him saying that he told her. So it's like, I think this is like, she's like, this is my story and I'm sticking to it. And Karen says in the interview, you know, you don't have rich people basically, you don't have rich people problems. Shoot, you don't even have married people's problems since you're neither rich nor married. And I was like, oh, well, on that note. And then Robin is like, well, you know, I was talking to the ladies, and Karen is like, you know, and they don't believe that you didn't know. And Karen is like, wait, you shared my private conversation with the girls? You know, why would you do that? You know, and then she's saying, Karen is like, she stabbed me in my back. You know, absolutely. I will never trust her again. And then Robin is like, well, we all read it on the blogs. And Karen is like, blogs? What is a blog? Who does blogs? And then Robin is like, the Washington Post is not a blog. We read it there. So you do know what the Washington Post is, right? You know, you do your research. Do you owe anyone? And then Karen is like, it's an honor to be on the cover, to be in the Washington Post. You know, do your research. I don't owe anyone anything. You know, I am debt free and loaded, and you've got to make millions to owe millions. That's the title of the episode. And then you're a backstabber. You know, you want me to confide in backstabbers? What kind of sense does that make? None. You know, you're in Hanover. I guess that's the community that she lives in. That's not Potomac and not you know, I guess there's like a hierarchy. So there's Potomac, there's Great Falls, and then I guess Hanover is lower than that. And so she lets the woman know that, Karen lets Robin know that you are in Hanover by yourself in Hanover. Where the F is Hanover? And I really don't know where Hanover is. So you asking the wrong person, but that's the end of the episode. I finished right now, so the recap will be up momentarily. Thank you so much for watching, sticking around, liking, sharing, commenting, subscribing, and all of those other things. Today is the best day ever, and you are the greatest. So be you. Be fabulous. Be fabulous you. Peace. Be you. Be fabulous.